In 1972, the world's first video game controversy erupted when Pong's creators faced lawsuits for stealing the concept of digital tennis.
You're watching the most exciting game you will ever see on your TV set.
A half-century later, we stand on the shoulders of giants.
Ain't no one round here got $5,000, boy.
Games so revolutionary, they didn't just entertain. They rewired what was possible. This is not nostalgia. This is forensic analysis. Today, we dissect 12 games that operated on pure artistic clairvoyance. Titles that saw tomorrow and dared to build it. Warren Spector's System Shock was less a game than a prophecy. Released in 1994, 3 years before Grand Theft Auto redefined open worlds, it fused RPG depth with survival horror's dread. Players navigated Citadel Station not as heroes, but as hackers, forced to outwit Shodan, an AI antagonist who weaponized existential philosophy. Its legacy? A blueprint for immersive sims from Deus Ex to Prey. Yet, its boldest innovation remains overlooked. Real-time environmental storytelling, where emails and audio logs weren't collectibles, they were survival tools. Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid didn't just break the fourth wall, it atomized it. In an era when gameplay and narrative were siloed, Kojima forced players to interact with reality itself. To defeat Psycho Mantis, you swapped controller ports. To unlock a frequency, you read the game's physical manual. This wasn't gimmickry, it was avant-garde theater. Today, as Elden Ring hides lore in item descriptions, we see Kojima's DNA, games as participatory art, demanding scrutiny beyond the screen. Warren Spector struck again in 2000 with Deus Ex, a game that asked, what if every choice mattered? Not just morally, systemically. Stealth, combat, and diplomacy weren't options. They were ecosystems. Kill a key character? The plot adapted, never collapsing. This wasn't player agency. It was narrative quantum physics, where every decision spawned parallel realities. Modern RPGs, from The Witcher 3 to Baldur's Gate 3, are still decoding its equations. Fumito Ueda's Shadow of the Colossus, 2005, was a silent revolution. In a post-Halo world obsessed with set pieces, Ueda built a game where emptiness was the antagonist. 16 Colossi, no filler. Each battle was an elegy, a meditation on violence's cost. The game's moral ambiguity, were you the hero or the villain, predated The Last of Us by 8 years. Its true genius? Using technical limitations, the PS2's fog, to create existential unease, a masterclass in constraint as artistry. Yu Suzuki's Shenmue, 1999, was gaming's Citizen Kane moment, a project so ambitious it bankrupted Sega. But its audacity birthed the open-world genre. NPCs lived on schedules, weather-affected moods. You could open every drawer, call phone numbers from in-game flyers, or waste hours at arcades. Modern living worlds like Cyberpunk 2077 owe their DNA to Suzuki's obsession with mundanity as immersion. Yet, its $70 million budget, a 1999 record, remains a cautionary tale. Innovation risks ruin. John Carmack's Doom, 1993, didn't just popularize the FPS, it invented digital ecosystems. Players distributed the game via floppy disks, modded its code, and built communities around deathmatch mode, a proto-esport. Carmack's ID Tech engine pioneered 3D graphics, dynamic lighting, and modding tools, concepts that birthed Steam, Twitch, and Unity. But Doom's darkest legacy? Proving violence sells, a debate that still haunts the industry. DICE's Mirror's Edge, 2008, was a rebellion. In an era of brown and gray military shooters, it embraced minimalism, white cities, crimson accents, and a protagonist who ran, never shot. Its first-person parkour wasn't just mechanic, it was synesthesia, turning rhythm into survival. While critics panned its brevity, its influence is undeniable. Titanfall's wall-running, Death Stranding's traversal focus, even Fortnite's fluid movement, all trace back to Faith's defiant sprint. Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption 2, 2018, was a paradox, a blockbuster that rejected convenience. Horses' testicles shrank in cold weather, mud-stained clothing, NPCs remembered insults. This wasn't realism, it was anthropological simulation, a $540 million bet that players would cherish friction. It worked. The game's critical acclaim proved audiences crave depth, not just dopamine, a lesson reshaping AAA design today. Before GTA first heists, San Andreas, 2004, gave gamers a body. Carl Johnson could swim, get fat, or even starve, mechanics that tied physique to gameplay. Rockstar's satire also sharpened. This was the first game to mock systemic racism, corrupt cops, and gang culture with unflinching wit. Its open-world DNA now thrives in Elden Ring's seamless exploration and Horizon Forbidden West's biome diversity. David Braben's Elite, 1984, was the big bang of open-world gaming. On a 32-kilobyte BBC Micro, it generated 8 galaxies with 256 planets each, all via procedural generation. No scripted quests, no hand-holding. Its Newtonian physics and trading systems inspired EVE Online, Star Citizen, and even Minecraft. Yet, its greatest triumph was conceptual, proving games could be infinite. Richard Garriott's Ultima 7, 1992, was the first game to ask, what if you could do anything? Bake bread, poison NPCs, burn down buildings. Its world didn't revolve around the player. It existed despite you. This immersive sim ethos laid groundwork for Skyrim and Zelda, Breath of the Wild. But Garriott's boldest stroke? Letting players fail irreversibly. A design taboo even today. Silent Hill 2, 2001, remains gaming's Citizen Kane, a harrowing study of guilt, sexual shame, and grief. Director Keiichiro Toyama didn't use monsters to scare. He weaponized psychoanalysis. Pyramid Head embodied James Sunderland's self-loathing. The town's fog mirrored his denial. Modern narrative games, Disco Elysium, The Last of Us, still chase its brutal intimacy. Yet, Konami's refusal to remaster it speaks volumes. Some art is too raw to revisit. These games were not products. They were manifestos, blueprints for futures their creators wouldn't live to see. Some triumphed, some bankrupted empires. All dared to ask, what if? As AI and VR redefine our medium, let their courage be our compass. The next revolution won't come from algorithms. It'll come from madness, the kind that built these worlds.